everyone, welcome back to A City Planner Plays City Builders, where our new park is on fire in Bluffside Crossing. This is not at all surprising because I completely forgot to place some of our needed city services. So I made the assumption that I had a fire and police department to serve this area. That was a poor assumption. There's not one. So we are going to need to place both a police department and a fire department. So I think we're going to put those in the industrial area. It has not yet been developed. I'm going to use the larger buildings so that we can cover a greater proximity in this area. I wish I could place it over there, but not in the cards. So I think this will solve some of the issues that we've had in this area. And we'll just have to wait for that to build out. Another issue that someone pointed out was that all of these vehicles that are coming out of the cargo airport hub are circling back around, and if we speed this up a little bit, we can see that they're going back into the neighborhood. Now, I know that they don't want to do that, and I know that the neighborhood does not want them to do that. The reason this is occurring is that I have this road with a median, and the concept was fine, it didn't work. So I want to try to attack two issues at once. Number one, we have a lot of sound issues in this area that are leading to people getting sick. So I want to place these tree-lined roads in this area. There's no median there, so you can already see that there's some traffic that was making a left-hand turn out of that facility. So that's a big improvement. And now we won't have people looping back through the neighborhood. I mean, it'll still happen for a little while, but not as much. I also, I do want to be cognizant of the issues in this area, so I am going to tree line these streets as well. Okay, so that's the extent of what I want to do there. We could use sound barriers or something like that as well. I think for this, sound barriers are incredibly expensive. A much more cost-effective approach would be some landscaping. So I might just place some landscaping in this area here. One of the things that I've been shying away from it because my tree brush didn't transfer over to my new computer, but I might just set that up now and get some trees going. Okay, so that'll provide some buffer, but we have more issues. So what I'm thinking is maybe filling in this area here with some lower trees to increase that density and act as a barrier, a sound buffer in this area. So I think that'll help some. It's not perfect. It probably will never be perfect. If we take a look at the noise pollution, it's just extreme. And maybe that was a bad planning decision to put this so close, but it does happen, and it does exist, and it is a problem for people. In some cases, cities will offer up grants to get double pane windows in these areas. It just kind of is one of those unfortunate realities. So today we are going to be focusing on transit, and I'm really excited about this episode. This is kind of a long time coming, and so that was the comment that I received most in the comments is I'd like to see some subways. But subways aren't going to be appropriate for everywhere here. Particularly this new neighborhood in the airport, we are going to need to think about trains. We already have a train line coming here. It is going to Union Station, and we've tried to minimize the cross-pollination between the cargo network and the passenger rail network, but some of it's just unavoidable. So I did come through here. There was a comment that said that this was kind of an ugly crossing, and I agree, so I fixed that. So I think where I want to start is with some passenger rail. I know that I've done this already, and it's not super fresh and exciting anymore, but it's certainly a necessity. So I'm going to place this right here. And my thought process behind this is twofold. Number one, this would be a good candidate for a park and ride. There is ample land across the road for that. We could build a pedestrian bridge across and make that work. And two, I have access to that roadway network here. Now you could have a ped path that goes all the way down to this airport and serves the airport. That's pretty unreasonable. In city skylines though, it's perfectly reasonable and people will do it. That said, I don't want to go that far into Looney Town, so I'm not gonna do it. So I am gonna just place this here, and I want to get these trains far enough away from the runway that there's no obstruction there at all. And I also want to make sure that I'm not getting a little crazy running this through our developable land. So I'm going to avoid that. And let me see, for some reason it's not showing me my grades. There we are. Okay, so I'm gonna get this pretty far away before I start making the turn. Now I know that there have been some comments about my use of the freeform tool. I really find it to be a natural tool for me to use. It works well for me. I know that for some other people, maybe they wouldn't necessarily use that approach, but I like the freeform tool. Just gonna run this along down here and then try to naturally and gracefully meet up with this other new line. And now we just need to find a way to connect into this network. Okay, I like that. I think that this is going to work well. So I think what we're going to do is just create a quick line going from here to Union Station. Okay, so we have that one. And then I want another line going from here to the other industrial area. I would hope that people don't decide to commute back and forth between the industrial areas, but I guess you never know. The supply of jobs could outpace, or the supply of housing over here could outpace the supply of jobs. So, okay, so that is good. So from there, I want to start thinking more about the subway system. So let's simple this up a bit. So we have our first subway stop at Union Station, and we have another one in the sports district, but that's kind of a specialty stop. When you're thinking of high quality transit, and I use that not as an opinion, it's not a subjective statement. It's transit that is competitive with automobiles or faster. It's transit that is comfortable. It's transit that is reliable. High quality transit, you can space them out a little further, and actually that's desirable because you want to make sure that you aren't going to slow down service. So with buses, usually an eighth of a mile is the coverage area of a bus stop. That would also be 200 meters. You double that for a subway station, so 400 meters. So what does that look like? Well, let's figure it out. So we have a stop. Let's measure from here. So that's 500. So it would be somewhere in this area where we would be looking at adding a subway stop. So I'm going to place all of the stops first, and I'm going to try to space them an appropriate distance from one another to ensure that things make sense. Unfortunately, in some cases, the grades are going to dictate where we can and cannot put stops. So in this instance, this will be a little closer than I would like it to be. But we are stuck with the network that we have. So from this point, we would want to try to get as close to 400 meters as possible. So that is right up here at the corner of Main and Lake Avenue. So let's see if we can get another stop. I want to keep this on the same side of the road if at all possible. And again, we might be in a situation where the slopes are just going to dictate that it's not possible for us to have a stop there. But we can have one across the street. It'll work. It's not ideal again, but at least our spacing is good. Now, Lake Avenue is a unique place because that's probably going to be the junction of our stop system. So there'll probably be one more stop near the Capitol. Let's measure it out. So from Lake Street, as the crow flies to the Capitol, we can get 2 stops actually. So let's measure it out. So a mid-block stop would work here. Not wild about that, but maybe I'll just incorporate it into the corner here. Actually, there are lower rise buildings here. And this is one of the challenges, is that because we have buildings placed, there are issues. Okay, so it looks like we can squeeze it in here right next to that tower. And now we can place one more stop on this line quickly. So I think for the time being, it's going to be a fairly simple system. I'm going to have it come up this way towards downtown and then head this way and probably stop near this tram hub. So it'll provide decent service and a pretty significant coverage area. So one more stop. Let's continue our measurements. So we've got one here as the crow flies. So we actually might want to connect up to the other side of the Capitol. Yeah, that's a little closer. Actually, now I want to think about the destinations, and this might be our one. Nope, it's not going to work. I was thinking of our one mid-block stop, but unfortunately, we're running into lots of problems placing this particular stop. This one might be mid-block, a little weird, a little funky, but it'll work. We do have pedestrian connections here, so since we have leveled this, why not make those pedestrian connections? And this is our downtown, so I thought, might as well jazz it up a little bit too with some landscaping. So we've got these stops laid out. Now I want to go up Lake Avenue and get some stops there as well. So we have a stop right here. And this is a little closer than it should be, but I would really love to have a stop at the bus terminal. It would be a natural place to have a stop, so I might try to sneak one in close proximity to that. Potentially across the street. This is all land that is not zoned, won't be zoned, is not a park, no fences, so I think that'll work well there. The one thing I don't love about this is now people are crossing the street, but it's a heck of a lot more cost effective to do that than it is to take out some of these buildings. So that's what we're going to do. So this is a little bit longer than it should be, but I'd rather go longer than shorter if given the option. And I think we can get one more stop before we get to our tram hub. This honestly isn't a great spot, except that I do see there's a significant transit demand in this area. That said, the slopes here are going to make it darn near impossible to place a stop, so I think that we're going to probably not do it, unfortunately. And then we'll have another stop over here, and that will kind of be the extent of our network. So now we have all of these systems that we need to connect up. And as I'm doing this, what I want to think about is how gentle I'm making these connections. So if at all possible, I want these connections to be very gentle, because the more gentle the turns, the more speed the subway can pick up. So I'm just going to fill these in quickly. So this is going to be a slow stop for us. And the main reason for that is I think we're going to have to loop back around. So not ideal, but unfortunately it's what we're stuck with in this particular situation. This one will also be slower because we have to kind of come back around. So this one's going to be a challenge actually because of where I placed it. So I'm going to have to give this a little bit more thought, I think. And I might actually start out over here with a real quick turn. And then quickly loop back around. So they would be taking this incredibly slowly. Slope's too steep. Okay, more issues. Let's give this one more shot before I start to think that maybe I just shouldn't have placed this the way that I did. So next idea that I'm thinking is maybe we actually need to come back and connect up on the other side. And I think this is going to work. Now this would be a very slow stop. I mean, there's a lot happening there. So, but that's not going to be all that different than a couple of the other locations. It was kind of meandering there to be able to make that connection. And we're going to have the exact same situation here. Ooh, this is the slope situation again. Oh no! I think we can remedy this one though. Ugh, that's ugly. So I think the main problem is that I need to pay attention to the height that I'm connecting at. So it's changing my heights and that's creating issues. Okay, so I think that's much better. Now we need to make the connection to our outer area as well. Okay, so I like what's happening here. We need to get some stops laid out though. So we have our two patterns here. I'm going to start on this end to try to make sure that for some reason it was disabling my new route so I couldn't see it. So I cannot for the life of me figure out why I can't see this new line. So let's see if it's even functioning. Interesting. It looks like people are using it. Let's see if we have subways actually taking it, or if it's too sharp. Okay, so we have vehicles on the line. This might just be something I have to mess around with. It does exist. It's just not working. Or at least not showing up. It is working, it's just not showing up. And I see the same things happening with this other subway line. It makes me wonder if maybe the problem is the vehicle. Well, no, I don't have any custom assets. Huh. Okay, well, I will have to figure that out. I did enable some additional mods, and maybe that's part of the issue here. So I will create this new line even if it's invisible. If anyone has any ideas as to why this may be occurring, please let me know. This is certainly new to me. I've never seen this type of issue occur. We can still take a look. So I want to say that this is okay. So line, we're going to make this the red line. Okay, so you can see that this is already picking up some passengers. So it's doing the work it's supposed to do. Now this would most likely occur in tandem with a major bus route restructuring that's probably going to have to come at a later date. But what I would want to do there is overlay these bus stops. So you see that at least this is close to where it should be, but I probably want to move this bus stop directly in front of this so that people are not crossing the street, clogging up traffic to get to that bus stop. At the same time, yeah, there's some work that we want to do here. There are frequent stops. Now that I've measured, I know that a number of these stops are just too close. And I'd want people to not have to walk a block to get from one stop to the next, to be able to transfer between the different modes of mass transit. So that'll come in a later episode. But for the time being, I think we have a nice start on our subway line. And the nice thing about building this now is we've talked about redeveloping this area into something unique. And we already have a subway line that is ending right near this new location now. So this was valuable before the start of this episode. Now the value has gone through the roof. So once this is developed, imagine having a subway stop within close proximity. So if this is a tourism district, it's going to be super convenient to get to. You'd never have to rent a car or take a taxi. You could take a train to Union Station and transfer at Union Station to the subway to get right to your tourism district. For our existing tourism district, it would be a trip from the airport to Union Station, a subway over to our light rail, and then taking our light rail into River's Edge. It's doable. It's not ideal. Most likely you're going to, I guess you could take the tram straight down too. Okay, I take back everything I just said. We have a tram line that goes directly down. So this one's resolved, but our new district will now have a couple of different options too. So I'm liking where things are ending up. We are doing really well financially. So there's one more thing I want to do. So I disabled a policy a couple episodes back for subsidized youth sports. And as soon as I disabled that, started losing lots of games. So we have been winning games, and that's probably because of that policy. So we're going to re-enable that policy. We just need to pay attention to our finances. Right off the bat, we start losing a ton of money. So maybe that policy is just not in the books for us. Yeah, I just can't do it. Unfortunately, we're not going to subsidize these sports. You got to pay. So we still are having some development issues here. I don't know exactly what's happening. I'm going to just experiment a second. Let's just shrink this district up. We'll eliminate the industrial area from this district and see if that resolves the issues with this district. It would be great if that were the solution. I just don't think it is. I think that it's just a demand issue. Yeah, we don't have any industrial demand right now. No demand for industry or offices. That's the downside of the Industry 4.0 policy, is we just don't have any demand to build those kinds of industries. I do want to let's take a look at how these things are functioning. Got some good utilization here. Ooh, glad we took a look. Do not want intracity passengers at either one of these. This is strictly to get people to Union Station. We do have some good utilization here as well. Airport doing the airport things they normally do, showing that no one's using it. And let's take a look at how our passenger line over here is doing. Not great. Again, this district, similar to our other district, is kind of just not really filling in. I know that I just enabled the industry, that wasn't the Industry 4.0 policy. Let's take a look. In industrial space planning policy, I want to see industrial buildings. So I'm going to disable that. And now our need for industrial space should be twofold what it was. Twice the traffic, twice the fun, twice the number of buildings. So let's hope that shakes out, because I don't like seeing an industrial area that looks like this. So, all right. And with that, I think we're going to end this episode. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you've enjoyed this build. hope that you can help me resolve this issue. Clearly, our metro stops are working. Let me try one more thing. Okay, and a bit of happy news. I figured out what the problem was. So, the issue that I was having was one of the mods I had enabled no longer works. That's the transport line rendering fix. So that mod in particular allows you to take a look at stations above ground and some of the lines above ground. You could see it earlier in the video. So you can see that this is indeed working now. We can see all of our lines, and I'm happy about that. So very pleased with the way this turned out. We have some utilization, and we're in a good spot for the future. So thank you so much for joining me. If you liked this video, please consider hitting the like button. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so, and hit the notification bell if you want to know the next time I release a new video. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.